Here we are. I'm Chad Atkins with iMix Audio, and I'm looking forward to persuading you to reach your musical dreams from within your tiny little phone. I argue that with my help, you can create legit, professional sounding recordings straight from your mobile device and spend next to nothing to do it. Along the way, I'll share with you the best tools I've found to record and to edit on your device, how to properly manipulate controls and app features, how to mix and EQ tracks, the tasteful use of effects for a slick professional sound, and so much more. Something else that's wonderful about the methods I'll teach you is that they aren't specific to just iPhone engineering. You can apply this information to performing, recording, mixing, editing, anywhere you go. Are you a musician that's paid for professional studio time only to realize you never have the time you feel you need and you get rushed to completion? Maybe you've considered recording from home, but you didn't think you can afford the equipment and software. Or you could be someone who finds yourself losing so many creative ideas by not immortalizing them, either because you haven't yet dived into the recording process or you're always moving, never at home, you're at school, you're on tour, or whatever. Whatever the issue is, I'm here to tell you that you can record great stuff on your phone. You can actually create fully tracked, complete professional tunes ready for public consumption. It's realistic. And quite honestly, it ain't that hard. So if you're ready, I know I am, let's get going. Definitely grab some headphones. This will prove to be a lot of fun. First, and number one, get studio quality headphones. It's good to have studio speakers or whatever, but you want to have headphones and you want to have studio headphones. Most headphones have a bass boost built in, makes it confusing. You want to hear what's really going in and really coming out. That's very important, then you can move on from there. The next thing you need to get sound into your device. And how you do that is you need to get an interface. An interface is simply something that allows you to plug in your instrument or your microphone, and then it plugs into your phone, and that's how the sound gets in there. It's that simple. One or two inputs is enough to do this for sure, depending on your style and your preferred instrument. There are many options of affordable multi-input interfaces readily available in store or online. Just make sure your interface has a monitor output or a headphone jack. Bluetooth is pretty great these days, but don't rely on it. Latency can still be a big issue in recording and mixing. Next, I'm not going to tell you to get a microphone. I'd say you will eventually want to, but you'll be surprised with the outcome of simply using the iPhone's built-in mic. And once you decide you're comfortable enough with this process to continue churning out future hits from your mobile phone, you can then upgrade to owning a true studio mic. It's actually mind-blowing how affordable decent mics are. There's a wide variety out there too, from more conventional microphones using XLR inputs to digital mics that will plug into MIDI inputs, from standard studio mics to generally more affordable mics made specifically for using with your smartphone. Some are more expensive than others, it's up to you, but I will assure you dropping more than $200 is unnecessary, and obtaining a truly worthy microphone for between $50 to $100 is definitely doable. And I say that liberally. I mean, I really think you could get a microphone for $50-$60. That would make you happy for quite a while. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the App Store and you're going to download a DAW. D-A-W, a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. It's your tracking device or whatever. GarageBand is indeed the most intuitive, most comprehensive DAW at the phone recording level. It isn't by any means the only one, and historically not even my favorite. But for starters, it's great and it's free, and it'll do what you want it to do. I like multi-track DAW personally, but since I've started this, I've actually been using GarageBand more than anything else, and I've enjoyed it. It's changed a lot over the years. It's upgraded to be quite helpful on many different accounts. The next thing you'll need is to download an amp modeler from the App Store. A lot of these DAWs actually have them built in. GarageBand does. I'm not the biggest fan of the amp models in GarageBand, but they're useful. It can work. I would say to look at Amplitude, and there are several other amp modelers out there. I do believe that Amplitude is probably industry standard for this style of recording on your iPhone, your iPad. I also like tone bridge guitar effects a lot. I think that's really fun. It takes a lot of the thinking out of it. It's like a social app for guitar effects. People can build their own effects and share them with everyone. And that's pretty fun and it's pretty nice. And a lot of them are pretty dead on, but it takes a lot of the thinking out of it. Amplitude, for example, I've got the slash pack. And if you go to a certain song to get that sound, it's not exactly set like that song sounds. You can manipulate it in a way to get pretty close. Amplitude is a great app, but I'm just saying, like, there's even less tweaking going on with Tone Bridge. There's some give and take there, though. We'll touch on the use of virtual instruments and loops. Some of you out there might be saying, well, I don't play guitar, I don't play piano, I still want to do this. Well, there are options. But for now, I'm assuming you'll mostly be capturing real vocals, bass, guitar, piano, etc. And it's good to have an idea about music. Going into this without any idea how to play any instrument or any sort of music theory, it might be a little tougher. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'll run through it a lot faster knowing keys and stuff like that. But, whatever. We'll get there when we get there. But anyway, we will talk about loops and virtual instruments. Talk a lot about virtual drums because that's what I use almost all the time. We'll also touch on, miking real amps as opposed to using amp modeling, which won't be much different from laying down your vocals. It's definitely doable. You can most certainly do this and get it into your iPhone and be happy with it. The next thing is you'll need to decide where your drum sounds or your beats are going to be coming from. In the next tutorial, where we actually go through the recording process, we will focus on GarageBand's virtual drummers, which are in fact amazing and many leaps forward from GarageBand iOS's drum options of yesteryear. And the piano roll and sequence writing is also available inside of GarageBand. Piano roll in GarageBand is actually what I use for drums 95% of the time, because I have had a problem of feeling like I didn't have enough control of getting exactly what I envisioned with loops or with virtual drummers. It's true, though, that building your beats on a piano roll gets very time-consuming and meticulous the more intricate your beats become. So you keep that in mind, and if you're not a drummer and you just want a drummer behind you, then it's helpful sometimes to take that burden off of you, at least for the jamming process, while you're going through the creative process of strumming on your guitar and singing or whatever and trying to figure out what you're going to write. A virtual drummer is fantastic for that. And again, the song that we're going to build together first, that is using a virtual drummer. And you'll see, it sounds fantastic and it's so easy to use. It's important to note, though, that there are many wonderful drum machine and loop apps out there available in the App Store. We'll touch on some of the best in future posts. There are a lot. There are a lot that sound really good, and I've gone down that rabbit hole a number of times, listening to one drum sample after another, trying to see which sounds most realistic, and I've picked apart and chopped up loops and different things, trying to find the most realistic sounding drums. And, you can tear yourself apart trying to do that. At the end of the day, though, you mix your song well, and as long as it's a quality drum sound, you're just fine. If live drums are your only plan, it is absolutely possible. I don't focus on this much because it's much more involved, and you'll probably want more than 2 inputs with your interface, or at least a separate mixer. But it is indeed possible and just as doable as a full-size home studio or a professional studio. You can definitely put it into your iPhone just as easily. You can definitely mix them just as easily. It's just an extra process, especially for people trying to save money. You might not want an interface so big or an extra mixer or whatever, But it can be done. And we'll do that eventually. We'll play with that. We'll mix some drums. And in doing that, you're going to learn a lot about the EQs, a lot about the work that's involved in mixing a drum set. So it'll just come naturally eventually in our conversation. The next thing is you're going to need to master your song, okay? Mastering is a necessary reality for a truly professional sound. GarageBand isn't exactly mastering friendly. It's possible in there. Any DAW that has EQ and compression can master your product, but I'm trying to keep this as simple and as easy while getting as professional as possible. So this time I will show you my preferred method using the Lursen Mastering Console app. It isn't exactly cheap, but it's still mere pennies compared to conventional methods. There are a few other mastering apps out there, and that's cool. Also, auto mastering online is an option, but it isn't free either, and you'll eventually surpass the one-time cost of an app. I promise. If you get into this, the next thing you know, you'll be mastering one song after another. And it's also nice to have your mastering console with you, because if you do a full-length album or EP, then you're going to want these songs side by side to work together, to be in unison. They need to be cohesive. And in order to do that, it's nice to have it going through the same process side by side, at least have your preset ready and available so that these songs sound like they're on the same album, The main selling points to me for using the Lursen Mastering Console app are, number one, presets. Now, a lot of people say, oh, presets, oh my God, don't do that. Well, that's not what I mean. You should be tweaking to match your songs, but it's nice to have a helping hand in the initial setup process of mastering. And these presets are realistic. They work. There's not a whole lot of tweaking in order to get what you want out of it. I've used this for a long time now, and I am thoroughly happy with this app. Number two is the brand name. I like the fact that it's made by a prominent name in the business, IK Multimedia. They're not the only ones that make great stuff. They make really good stuff for the most part, and therefore I felt like I could trust it a little faster. And it's stamped with the Lursen name for further reassurance. So that works for me. Now, this is long enough. This is to be continued. You can go into the next video, and we're going to actually go through the process of building a song. And you'll see every move I make into coming out with the final mastered tune that you could put on iTunes or on the radio the next day. All right, well, I really appreciate you stopping by. It's going to be fun to get to know you. We're going to have a lot of fun together and working on these songs coming out of your phone. And take care. God bless.